So I've been looking at upgrading my lighting here for a little while. My wife and I do a podcast linked one of those ways. I'm not familiar with this enough yet to do that. But what we really want to start doing is shooting some video. And I bought two LED light panels and they're great, but they're really harsh. If you notice, there's a lot of shadows on my nose here. The shadows over there are just really, really rough. And they put out a good amount of light, but if there's two of us, it's going to spread things out a bit. So we need something a little bit better, a little bit softer, just something a little bit more flattering. So we're going to look at that. And I've been doing a lot of research and trying to figure out what we need. So we need diffusion, we need something that's bright enough, and I need something that's kind of compact and easy to put away because I have a 4-year-old and my house is overtaken with all of his stuff. So I need somewhere I can just stash it real quick and easy, not a big deal. I found a couple of really good ones out there, but they're like $800, $150, and then by the time you get all the diffusion and the light domes and all the other stuff, the price goes up to $1,000 to at a minimum like $250. And while I could afford that, there's a lot of other things I'd much rather spend my money on because like I could drive a Tesla for a month with that money. So I've been looking for a solution and I think I found one. I'm going to credit the videos below that I used for this because this is not my original idea at all, but I think it's going to work and we'll see right now what it looks like versus what it looks like a little later. But basically you just need 4 things for this to work. And I'm going to include the full prices, full links. I'm not doing any referral links or any of that stuff, just get them down there. But basically what we're looking at is what you need to do this, how easy it is, and the only thing I'm not including in the price on this is the stuff you would need regardless. So like a light stand, you need that no matter what, so I'm not going to include that in the price of building this light, but everything else I think you do need, and I'll give you some alternatives that you can use as well. So let's get started here. The first thing you need is one of these cake pans. This is a 16-inch, 2-inch depth, so 16-inch diameter, 2-inch deep cake pan. What we're going to do is we're going to take some LED lights and run them around the inside of this thing. Basically, it's going to allow light to bounce around inside of this, and it's going to get nice and bright. It's going to bounce a lot, so it's going to be kind of even light. It's not going to be direct. It's going to be even across the whole thing, and that's going to be the basic beginning setup for it. To capture all of that bounce around light, we're going to use a diffusion cloth. Now this is something that I used previously in one of my other videos linked below on how I built my overhead camera rig. So I had this laying around, but I am including it in the price because there's nothing worse than somebody saying, oh, this only costs $30 and they have like $50 worth of stuff they already had on hand, not included in the price. So I have this, we'll be cutting it up, not a big deal. And basically the softer we want the light, so the more it kind of diffuses and spreads out, so it's a little flatter, a little more even, we just add more layers. These things come in massive, massive sheets. They're like $10 to $15, not a big deal. Lights, $8 to $13. This one has a power cord included with it. If you have one already, you can get them cheaper, but I needed the power brick just to have it on hand, so I had that. And then the final thing you need is something debatable depending on what you're doing. I'm using a super clamp, so I'm going to put this and hook it onto the cake pan, and then I'll be able to thread in onto where I'm going to either put a light stand or a tripod depending on what I want. I've seen other people use ball heads, whatever you want. If you're using a ball head or something else that can't clamp on, you do have to drill through. So I'm using this because there's literally no tools involved. But if you have tools or you like tools or it's just a better solution for you, you can do that. So let's get started on this. So to start out, all you do is get your cake pan and you're gonna go ahead and put on the super clamp here. Now, depends on which way you wanna put it in so that it fits on your tripod the right way. So I had to flip mine around so the tightening aspect of it is actually on the inside, which is a little bit of a problem, but not that big of a deal. Then I'm going to grab my LED lights. It's a strip of about 300 of them, and they're set to daytime balance, which is important. Mine came with 3 different parts. We had the LEDs, we had the power supply, and then there was a dimmer built in, which is nice because it gives you just a little bit more control over your light than what you would have if you just plugged it in. They have a self-adhesive back, so all you have to do is kind of peel off the paper, which I had tremendous trouble with because I'm not good at that. So once I finally got that paper separated, all you have to do is sit there, stick it on, and try to go around the pan. It doesn't really matter if there's gaps and stuff between because the light's job in there is to bounce around. So if it's bouncing off of some of the metal, that's totally fine. It's just kind of getting moved around the area inside of there. You can see that it's super easy to do. You just remove the back and just kind of go along the edge and peel it on and you're good to go. And then just real quick, we're going through and putting it on. Once it's all applied, it's trying to test it out and just make sure it works before you do any other work. At that point, you're going to lay out your diffusion paper, just kind of make it a square and just cut it out so that it fits over everything. And then we're just gonna cover everything up, test it with the diffusion paper to make sure it works, make sure that it looks good. And I'm using 2 layers here just to soften it up a bit more. You can see what it looks like with 1, and then when we throw back on with 2, see it just gets slightly softer. It's not really a big difference on here, but it does matter later on. And then I'm just going around using painter's tape to cover everything up so it wraps around the light. You could use a big rubber band. Whatever you really have is the only thing that matters for this. So here it is. It has 2 layers of diffusion. This is the only light currently lighting me. It looks good, I think. You'll see the shadows in the background are way softer. They kind of spread out. There's not that hard line that was there before. My face, definitely the nose area, doesn't have that big dark shadow over here. It's darker, but the fall-off's a lot lighter. I think my face looks better overall, and just the lighting in general here is really good. And for the money I spent on this, really not that bad. Really easy to build, took about 5 minutes of work, and I have a light that costs less than my light panels, which put out slightly more light, but again, it's a harsher light, and even with diffusion, I haven't been able to get them to look the exact way that I want. This new one, this cake pan light, that for my key light looks way better in my opinion. So that's all there is. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.